Amid all the noise about international travel, one key moment for the outbound travel movement, that is the publication of a green list of countries that it is permissible for Irish people to travel to. It will relate to outbound travel and it will change the terms and conditions that the Department of Foreign Affairs are advising against.
Limbo for 4 months, and we thought we were getting somewhere in terms of green list countries and possible guidance lifting, and the airports were reopening, flights are operating 100 flights a day out of Ireland, and then we have all of this mixed messaging.
The European governments have sacrificed as much as us. They would not have allowed travel to increase sevenfold in that time frame if they felt that travel was going to lead to a surge in COVID-19 cases. What we know on April 12, at the height of the pandemic in Europe, we were getting over 30,000 cases a day. Since then, the number of cases has fallen dramatically. The same is true in China. The one country that's been the most closed to international traffic is the United States. And it is the one that has seen the second
The government
spike.
can't ride both horses here. On the one hand, saying people shouldn't travel and expect travel links there for airlines to fly around half empty, when the rest of Europe is saying they've no difficulty with everybody back flying.
The countries that are not on the list are probably easier to speculate than those that are on the list. Right across Europe, Sweden has featured in most people's red list. It is because the way they managed coronavirus there. Bulgaria, Romania, they tend not to be wanted. Serbia, Montenegro, outside the European Union, they're showing up on lists as well. Non-European countries that are on the so-called white list for Europe, and that does not feature the United States.
It's very hard for those suppliers to understand what's going on. But it's not as if we are short of evidence to support what we're trying to tell them. And for the most part, they are being respectful and understanding, because if we can't, or if the consumers feel they can't travel, we need to cancel those bookings and refund those clients. We can't have non-refundable terms and conditions applying to those bookings, because the consumer feels pressurised by government, and they absolutely are being pressurised by government not to travel. So I'd have to say the ground suppliers are being reasonable. As to how long that's going to continue, it's hard to know.
And Portugal being treated as one region, despite the fact that the Algarve is the province with the second lowest level of infection after Alentejo.
In the destinations, they're being quite good. We have been keeping them up to speed, radio interviews and clips from various things, because what we've got to do is educate them to understand that Ireland seems to be in a standalone position in Europe with regard to preventing citizens travelling for 2020.
Much of the action in the coming weeks is going to be behind the scenes. The July stimulus package is central to whether a lot of our travel agents can make it up to next April with no serious inflow of bookings.
Ireland's 190 licensed travel agents are currently watching their business fail, and unlike the other SMEs, they've received little or no assistance. I've been in correspondence with you about this issue. Industry projections estimate that as a result of the advice not to travel abroad, travel agents overall will lose 120 billion of projected earned income, which comes largely from commissions and service fees. Without the benefit of TWSS, many travel agents would already have closed their doors, as turnover is down by 90%.
It's a unique situation, has to be looked at favourably by the government, but we are going to make a case and see if we can gain some ground.
All earned income to date from advanced bookings is handed back in refunds, resulting in negative trading. Advanced bookings are practically at zero, so businesses are looking down a black hole towards the rest of 2020 and for the first quarter of 2021.
The black hole is out there from September, so we need government aid. We need government aid.
The government advice is not to travel. Thousands of people who follow that advice have cancelled flights and holidays. Most of these cancellations are package holidays, which include flights, transfers and accommodation. We have a ludicrous situation that under a European Union directive, the travel agent is legally responsible for the refund of the entire package. This is simply not financially sustainable. It's a travesty and incredibly unfair to expect travel agents to shoulder the burden of this financial outlay.
The projected income, when everyone put in their licences, was 1.2 billion. At the end of March, CAR had written off 51% of that. And then we have all the months subsequent to that, income that we're not going to have to pay for our overheads.
With us, support the local business, support the local, everybody in our 10 shops, the staff in it is their people's neighbour. Back in, re-support them, And I'm talking about, you know, and this is across the board with every travel agent across Ireland. Get in, support these people in their jobs, get them back.
I think we all have to lobby and educate the politicians and any of the other political stakeholders that exist to let them see what's happening.
Speak briefly to the president of the Irish Travel Agent Association on a Zoom call the other day, and Minister Naughton, whose responsibilities cover aviation and international travel, will be meeting with the association in the next couple of days to explore what specific supports we may be able to put in place for them. About 3,000 people across the country work in travel agents and tour operators. We all know these businesses. They're largely locally owned, often family owned. They tend to be an important feature on our high streets. We want to make sure that they survive and that they're able to do well again when we get past this pandemic.
We would hope that the publication of the Green List would answer some of the questions as to what is covered under travel insurance and what is not. What is clear from the major players in the Irish market is they're treating all the existing claims on a case-by-case basis. That means that very similar claims, some of them are being awarded and others are not.
Because we can't insure against the public interest, then there would be no cover for those clients under travel insurance policies. So there's a kind of potential risk there. Now that's something that we're looking at, but I'm very much hoping that the government, the airlines, the various other countries and destination countries are all kind of working in tandem together to come up with a kind of a very good approach.
They're dealing with claims on a case-by-case basis. So, you know, they're not saying it's a decline. They're not saying it's a confirmation of payment. They're looking at each case-by-case basis because, you know, it's very fluid at the moment. It's been changing a lot, like where people were saying they're not getting refunds and then all of a sudden the airlines were giving refunds, you know. So each time the underwriters are looking at each case-by-case basis. You know, if you're a tour operator acting as a tour operator, then they'll have a different decision on it to maybe a travel agent acting in a dynamic packaging. But, you know, they're not dismissing or they're not confirming each case. They're looking on a case-by-case basis and will review what each airline is doing or what a cruise company is doing, etc.
The questions were fast and furious. And at times we have to put our hands up and say, we don't know.
My name is Eoghan Corry. Travelwrap is commissioned by the Irish Travel Agents Association. The views here are my own.
I think we've just got to stick at it.
You know, majority will get through it. You know, majority will get through it.
We've come through some horrific things in the past. We've got through 4 months of this. We've got to be resilient. We've got to keep on top of things as best we possibly can.
There has to be global cooperation on how we restart air travel and commerce in general. If we don't have that, then airlines will just be the walking wounded until we do.